be like, oh, I'm just
got no idea.
This auto-escalation that happened in Ireland is going to go from civil resistance to armed rebellion. And the international community have a responsibility to save the Palestinians and to keep the Palestinians.
Keep the resistance, keep the hope right now. What we're thinking about how we're going to destroy our hope in a couple of days. They're thinking about holding bombs. How are those nine? Are those 9 children? One story I heard. From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
free, free,
Palestine!
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 from the river to the sea, free, free,
Palestine!
free, free,
Palestine!
free, free,
Palestine!
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
from the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free!
Thank you all for coming out today, standing here in unity for Palestine. We're going to start in a few minutes, inshallah. But first of all, we're going to start this off right with a few chants. I can see you've all got going already. But inshallah, let's all do this together. Free, free!
Palestine!
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 1, 2, 3, 4!
Occupation no more!
5, 6, 7, 8!
Israel is terror state!
1, 2, 3, 4!
Occupation no more!
5, 6, 7, 8!
Israel is terror state!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
In our thousands, in our millions!
We are all Palestinians!
In our thousands, in our millions! We are all Palestinian! In our thousands, in our millions!
We are all Palestinians!
1, 2, 3, 4! Occupation no more! 5, 6, 7, 8!
Israel is terror state!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
I want to hear you louder, Russell! Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
We'll let you guys know if anyone is in need of face covering. Find one of our stewards. We've got hundreds to give out. There are also sanitizing stations around the place. Keep yourselves safe, comrades. I said free, free! Free, free!
Nabiyyi al-Aqsa! الروح بالدم! نبيك الأقصى! الروح بالدم! نبيك الأقصى! الروح بالدم! نبيك الأقصى! Palestine! 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 نبيك الأقصى! الروح بالدم! نبيك الأقصى! الروح بالدم! نبيك الأقصى! الروح بالدم! نبيك الأقصى! Israel is terror state!
solidarity with Palestinians, and he's a former captain of a convoy boat to Gaza. Please welcome him to the stage.
Thank you, sisters, brothers, comrades. I'm here speaking on behalf of Jews for Justice for Palestinians. I also know that what I'm about to say will be in line with the condemnation of what's happening to Palestinians by all the Jewish groups on the left in the UK. Jewish Voice for Labour, Namod, Vashti, Judas, Jewish Network for Palestine. I'm going to read out first a statement by the Jewish Socialist Group. Jewish Socialists will always stand with the oppressed, never with the oppressors. We will always oppose racist violence, ethnic cleansing, ultra-nationalist and fascist incitement. So we stand today with the Palestinian residents of Jerusalem, defending themselves against the violence of settlers and the Israeli authorities and the attempt to ethnically cleanse Jerusalem. We stand too with those Israelis who condemn their own government and military actions and who seek a future of coexistence on the basis of equality and justice and an end to the occupation. As a Jew, I want to make this very clear, that this is not just about cultures. It's not just about religious beliefs. It's not just about evictions, although it's all of those things. It's actually about the basic ethnic cleansing of Palestinians by the Israeli National Project, which started in 1948, which has the blood on its hands of 20 Palestinian villages, not just Deir Yassin, which many will have heard of, but 20 others where the Palestinian populations were annihilated, where a few were left to flee to create the atmosphere of fear which generated the Nakba. It continued in 1967. It continued with the attacks on Sabra and Shatila. It continued with the attacks on Gaza. It continued with the annihilation of 2,400 members of Gaza in Operation Cast Lead. And it continues today with the ever-expanding and illegal occupations in the West Bank, led by the most extreme and right-wing Israeli citizens in those illegal occupations, in those illegal settlements. And we condemn that utterly. I would like to ask the question, where is the leader of the Labour Party here? As a party which stands for justice and democracy, they should be here condemning this ethnic cleansing. And I'll just finish with this. With the Palestinians.
We're going to have a long stream of Palestine to welcome to the stage now activist, musician and rapper Low-Key.
Thank you very much. When I say long live Palestine, I want everybody in here to say long live Gaza. Are you with me? This is for Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. This is for the child that is searching for an answer. Wish I could take your tears and replace them with laughter. Long live Palestine! Long live Gaza! Long live Palestine! Long live Gaza! This is for Palestine of Quds, the capital Jerusalem. Unarmed people marching to the wall and they're shooting them. Suppression is a question, resistance is the answer. Long live Palestine! Long live Gaza! 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 Now, an important thing for us to understand, there are those that say, in what way does the plight of the Palestinian people relate to somebody living in Britain today? We know two things. Number one, the foundation of the apartheid state was established by the British Mandate, who had to apply the Balfour Declaration. What it meant was separate educational institutions for Jewish people and for Palestinian indigenous people. Secondly, we know that the British established the skeletal structure of what would become the IDF in 1936, when the Palestinians had the largest documented strike in human history. We also know later on that Britain has assisted Israel in many different ways, but today we're in a situation where arms companies in this country, you have 100 different companies that sell military equipment to Israel from this country that have offices and factories here. Now, if we look at this organization, Elad, that is in the process of ethnically cleansing Jerusalem, and we look at where their funding comes from, actually we find a lot of the organizations that have funded Elad in the past also funded organizations like the David Horowitz Freedom Center that funded Katie Hopkins and Tommy Robinson. They also funded the Middle East Forum, which funded Tommy Robinson. So we actually see across the world a solidarity which already exists. So it's that reason that we must treat the Palestinian cause as if we are them and they are us. Now I'm going to do this song Long Live Palestine very quickly. While we listen to tunes made by ignorant fools, Israel blocked the UN from delivering food. They bring in the troops and we won't even glimpse of the news. They make money off the products we are quick to consume. And it is not simply a question of differing views. Forget emotions, this is facts. What I spit is the truth. It's not about if you're a Christian or if you're a Jew. They're just people living in different conditions to you. They still die when you bomb their schools, mosques and hospitals. It's not because of rockets, please God. Can you stop this all? I'm not related to the strangers on the TV, but I relate because those strangers could have been me. Words can never ever explain the raw tragedy. It's not a war, they're just murdering more rapidly, and we are automatically supporting pure savagery. Imagine how you feel if this was your family. This is for Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. This is for the child that is searching for an answer. Wish I could take your tears and replace them with laughter. Long live Palestine! Long live Gaza! Long live Palestine! Long live Gaza! If Ibrahim Abu Thureya could resist without a wheelchair, 10-year challenge, tell reggae we are still here. Until that killer Netanyahu, we should feel fear. Old live through us and guarantee the children will care. Criminal, not invincible and you know it. Sarmadoon still sitting in their stoic. May not feel us with you when you listen to our poems. You inspire humanity. Your resistance is heroic. Regardless of talk, it is time we answer the call. Through your strength of spirit, you provide example for all. How to live, how to love when attacked from the clouds above. This is for Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. This is for the child that is searching for an answer. Wish I could take your tears and replace them with laughter. Long live Palestine! Long live Gaza! Long live Palestine! Long live Gaza! Long live Palestine! Long live Gaza! Thank you very much.
Thank you, Low-Key, for the iconic song. Next speaker is Chris Rose. He's the director of Amos Trust. That's a human rights organization working to promote the rights of street children, supporting communities in Nicaragua and campaigning for the justice in Palestine. Please welcome Chris Rose to the stage.
Hello, good evening. How do you follow Loki? That was fantastic. I'm here to say a few things very quickly. There is no excuse, no justification for what we've seen in East Jerusalem over the last week. There's no justification for the bombings in Gaza. There's no excuse for it. There is no security threat which could ever justify attacking Al-Aqsa Mosque. I stand here as an ordained Anglican minister to denounce what's been. There is no legal case for driving the population out of Sheikh Jarrah. There is no planning regulation which could ever justify demolishing houses in Jerusalem and demolishing across the West Bank. It's a basic lie of the occupation. As our friends have told us and our partners across Palestine, this is an ongoing Nakba. Squeezing Palestinians out of their homes and lands, using apartheid planning laws, using the full force of the Israeli army, using the occupation policies and practices and disinformation to take Palestinian land and to take their future. We've stood here far too many times. We've stood outside number 10 far too many times. We've asked our government to back what we're saying far too many times. We've demanded they take action and they've done nothing. But we're going to keep on coming back. We're going to keep on coming here. We're going to keep on demanding action. We'll keep on saying they must do action until the day comes when they throw open those gates and they walk out and they realise they've been on the wrong side of history for far too long. The Palestinians are not going anywhere and we're not going anywhere. We stand in solidarity. It's a long road ahead, but change will come. Just last week we saw the Methodist Church divest from Caterpillar. Change will come. We can change the future and we must change the future. It's a long road. We will get there one step at a time. One day justice will come to Palestine. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Free! Thank you, Chris. If anyone, I've got a bit of housekeeping. If anyone has lost their car keys, we've found some car keys. Please come to the stage if you have lost your car keys. I would now like you to welcome to the stage a young woman. She's a Palestinian. She's a student. She's here representing an organization called ASAP, the Association of Student Activism for Palestine. Please welcome Massa.
It's very difficult to get here. I know Eid might be tomorrow, there's COVID, there's exam season, but look at this turnout. I mean, all of this for Palestine. Come on. My name is Massa. I'm a student at Essex, part of a PalSoc. I just wanted to remind you that at times like this, at times when Palestine depends on our support, at times when Palestine depends on spreading awareness, when Palestine depends on voicing the voiceless, when Palestine depends on boycotting, divesting, and sanctioning, as Palestinians struggle to protect their own homes, families, and friends, as they struggle to survive, as they struggle to protect Jerusalem from violent racists and oppressors, they try to take over. It's times like this that your small society and your solidarity group plays a massive role on the ground in Palestine. See, Israel didn't merely colonize our land. Israel colonized our minds. It has put most of its efforts and focus on not just the colonization of the minds of Palestinians, but pro-Palestinians. They want us to think it's hopeless. They want us to think it's useless. As Omar Barghouti, the co-founder of BDS, said, Israel's reaction to BDS is very much along the line of Gandhi's famous statement. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. And we are in the then they fight you part. Here's to winning. This government. Guys, we all stand here today as citizens with dignity and freedom of speech, demanding that the British government, public bodies, and civil society hold Israel accountable and take meaningful action to prevent the further ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. The British government, public bodies, and civil society must not condemn an act of defense by Palestinians and continue to support and remain silent when Israel murders our children, attacks our worshippers, burns our trees, assaults our citizens, and steals our homes. You must recognize that the laws of Israel are inherently discriminatory and used to implement an ethnic cleansing of my people. Finally, I'd like to remind you all that we've gotten so used to the numbers, the statistics, we've become numb. We got so used to seeing destruction and tragedy in Palestine that when they kill our children on bikes, we don't consider it news anymore. But I'm here to remind you that these aren't numbers, they're names, they're stories, they're siblings, they're parents, they're children, they are people like you and I. So when the people of Sheikh Jarrah and Gaza are under attack, what do? We stand up and fight back. So when the people of Sheikh Jarrah and Gaza are under attack, what do? We stand up and fight. When the people of Sheikh Jarrah and Gaza are under attack, what do? Thank you guys, have a great day.
Thank you, Massa. I just want to make an announcement. The organisations that have organised today's protest are calling another demonstration on Saturday. This Saturday, we will assemble at midday at Marble Arch. Be there! Feel free! Feel free! Feel free! Ladies and gentlemen! Ladies and gentlemen! The next speaker is Lindsay German, the convener of Stop the War. Please introduce her to the stage. Free, free!
Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. You may not know if you're in front of the stage, but there are even more people behind you on the stage. There are thousands of people here tonight protesting about the treatment of the Palestinians, the ethnic cleansing which is going on in Jerusalem as we speak, the repression of the people of Gaza. And we are here to say we defend the right of the Palestinians to resist against the occupation, against the repression, against all of these things. And the best thing that we can do in this country is we are resisting as well. And that is what we are doing here tonight. We are demonstrating in support of the Palestinians. And when they say, to us, how this ethnic cleansing is going on. So thanks for coming tonight. Be there on Saturday, demonstrate at the embassy, and let's show the Palestinian people solidarity with them exists worldwide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's now my pleasure to introduce to the stage an activist with Black Lives Matter. Yes, it's Joshua Virasami. Joshua!
Wagwan! Let me move this thing. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Can everybody hear me? emotion. There's a rock going on, but I'm gonna try to speak as loud as I can. Should I carry on? Alright. I wanna thank you for inviting Black Lives Matter to come here. And I'm very proud to make this statement from Black Lives Matter UK. Watching Palestinians being torn from their homes in broad daylight in Sheikh Jarrah reminds us once more that we cannot cower in the face of propaganda. That we must use our voice wherever we can to decry the occupation of Palestine. This courage to speak reminds me of Thomas Sankara. Does anybody know Thomas Sankara? He was the revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso before he was killed by the same forces that prop up the occupation of Palestine. He used his podium at the United Nations, the highest home of hypocrisy, and he said, and he spoke truth to power, he said, I speak out in indignation as I think of the Palestinians. I think of the valiant Palestinian people, the families which have been splintered and split up, and our words too are not enough. And we know this because we're here demonstrating. We must push our political representatives. We must continue to put economic pressure on the spineless capitalists who profit from the occupation of Palestine. We must strangle the arms companies. We must continue to boycott, divest and sanction. These companies are British companies. They have headquarters in Holborn. We should be outside there blockading them day in and day out. As the Black Panther Party founder Huey P. Newton once said, Israel is maintained by Western firepower. Firepower sold from here. So we should stop that firepower. Freedom for Palestine. Long live the Intifada. Victory to the Intifada. Free, free!
Today is Mona Dajani. She's a Palestinian academic and a member of Al-Shabaka Palestinian Policy Network. She's from Jerusalem and she is from one of the families that is facing eviction in Sheikh Jarrah. Please listen to her and welcome her to the stage.
Thank you all, what a lovely gathering. It feels so much to us people in Sheikh Jarrah in Jerusalem to see you all here. I stand with you today as a daughter and granddaughter of proud Jerusalemites. Their story is the story of millions of Palestinians. It's the story of struggle to exist in a homeland stolen by settler colonialism. My grandparents became refugees, forced to leave their beautiful home in Baqa neighborhood in what came to be known as West Jerusalem, a land that we are forbidden to return to. They found refuge in Sheikh Jarrah. They built a loving home, planted trees to nurture their rootedness in the land, and were part of a strong-knit community. As children, we felt safe in Sheikh Jarrah. We grew up as proud Jerusalemites, living in the heart of the city, reclaiming it as a space for our being. But we also knew that the threat of unlawful expulsion looms on us, and that the Israeli settler colonial state and the US registered settler organizations are attempting to erase our presence on our land. This is not a new struggle. We have been battling with the settler organization for decades. We have no faith in the courts. They are simply Zionist institutions catering to Zionist aspirations to Judaize and remove us from our city. They are not on our side. They don't see us as equal human beings who just want to stay in our house and who want justice and freedom to live in our city. Sheikh Jarrah residents stay defiant in their steadfastness, and their defiance is humbling and empowering to us all. We have witnessed in the last few days their bravery as Jerusalemites, Palestinians from all over Palestine, united in standing against the barbaric and brutal Israeli forces and the fanatic settler thugs. The situation in Jerusalem is far from calm on other days too. Violence, intimidation, home demolitions, discrimination and segregation is the norm in this settler colonial state. Our daily existence is a fight and is a struggle. We urge you to stand with Sheikh Jarrah, not just today. Your solidarity matters and your activism matters. We want to salute Gaza, Lid, Naqab, Nazareth, Yafa, Haifa, Tarshiha, and Palestinian and international around the world who took a stand for justice today. Our message is clear. We are going nowhere. We are not going anywhere. This is our city, these are our homes, and these are our trees. We will remain, we want to remain, to continue to build. We want to continue to build memories in Sheikh Jarrah and Al-Quds. We want to have our children grow and know their home and their city like we did. Our joint struggle for justice, freedom, and dignity is a universal struggle. We need to keep fighting, resisting, writing, sharing, petitioning, drawing, amplifying the voice of the voiceless, amplifying the voice of Palestinians and those marginalized all around the world. لن نرحل, لن نرحل, لن نرحل.
Thank you, Muna. And can I say on behalf of everybody here, solidarity to you and to your family as you resist occupation. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is a representative of one of the largest trade unions in this country with more than 400,000 education workers. He is the Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union. Please welcome Kevin Courtney.
Good afternoon. My name's Kevin Courtney and I'm the Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union in this country. It's the biggest education union in Europe. It's the fourth biggest union in this country, and I'm very pleased to be here in solidarity with the Palestinian people tonight. Now, on Twitter today, somebody said to me, you shouldn't come. They said there's enough problems in schools in England. You as a trades unionist should be dealing with those problems. And I tell you, there are loads of problems in schools in England. And there's lots for my union to do. But I want to tell you what I told that person on Twitter. No man is an island. No one is an island. No one is safe unless we're all safe. No one is free unless we're all free. And we need to act. I've come along tonight to be part of the righteous opposition to the evictions in Sheikh Jarrah. And I want to tell you that the people of Sheikh Jarrah are our friends. My union, the National Education Union, sends delegations to Palestine twice a year during our school holidays. We send union members who meet with teachers and other staff, with parents and children in schools in the occupied territories. And as part of those visits, we meet the families in Sheikh Jarrah. We visit the households of the people in Sheikh Jarrah. So when I say they're our friends, I don't just mean metaphorically, I mean literally. Those people are our friends. And I want to say these evictions are unjust. And as the TUC says, as the TUC says, there's a very good chance that those evictions are a war crime. The UN says that those evictions are a war crime. So I am calling on the Israeli government to stop the evictions in Sheikh Jarrah, to stop the incursions into the Al-Aqsa, to stop the bombings that are killing civilians in Gaza. And I'm calling on the UK government, the US government, the EU government. They must act. They must tell the Israeli government that they have to withdraw. We want peace. Peace grows out of justice. Injustice leads to war. We want peace, and that requires justice. And I'm telling you that as well as calling on the UK government, we need to mobilise the population of this country. And some people will tell us that's impossible. But I say, raise your sights. The biggest working class anti-slavery movement in the world was British workers. the biggest anti-apartheid movement outside South Africa in the world was in Britain. British workers stopped bombs being sent to Pinochet in Chile. So I say, the mass of the British population opposes the actions of the Israeli government. And our job as the active minority is to mobilize that mass. No person is an island. None of us are free unless all of us are free. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker on our stage is lifelong activist, author and chair of Friends of Al-Aqsa. It is Mr. Ismail Patel.
Assalamu alaikum. Free, free.
Palestine!
Free, free.
Palestine!
Free, free.
Palestine!
The attacks on Al-Aqsa Masjid in the month of Ramadan and in the pandemic is a new law from apartheid state of Israel. The attack on worshippers with stun grenades, smoke bombs and rubber bullets continued for hours. When these victims were taken to the clinic nearby, the Israelis followed them and attacked them in that clinic. Imagine, my friends, if these crimes were committed by Muslims against another worshippers. There would have been 24/7 condemnation by our media here and our politicians. The fact that none of them have come out to condemn shows that they are complicit in the crimes of the Israelis as well. Both the BBC and the government are complicit in dehumanizing the Palestinians and suffering of the Palestinians. Friends, it is our duty and responsibility to hold the government and the BBC to account. In this regard, let me give you some good news. Friends of Al-Aqsa carried out a campaign to write to their MPs. You, all of you around here, 70,000 of you wrote to your MPs in the last week. Thank you very much for that. It is because of people like you that now MPs are coming out and condemning what they should have done a week ago. We carry on with that. We also are today here not alone. We have got demonstrations in Blackburn, in Bradford, in Dewsbury, in Birmingham and Leicester concurrently taking place. We are in the majority and we want Palestine to be free. Friends, it can never be right to attack people who are praying in the places of worships. It can never be right to forcefully evict people from their homes. It can never be right to bomb children in Gaza. This can never be accepted by us, irrespective of the fact that our government is in bed with the Israelis. We call unreservedly condemn the Israeli actions, and we call upon the British public to continue with their boycott, divestment and sanctions. Continue with their campaigning of the MPs. Continue lobbying the media so that we have the truth. My friends, until Palestine is free, we will carry on. Thank you very much. Free, free. Free, free. Free, free. Until next time, my friends, until Palestine is free, carry on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ishmael. As you were saying, thousands of people have been writing to their MPs in recent days, asking them to speak out, and many of them have. But one of them is here. She's here to address the crowd. She's the MP for Coventry South. You know who she is, don't you? It's Zara Sultana!
Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. My name is Zara Sultana, I'm the Member of Parliament for Coventry South, and I am so proud to be with you all today to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people. 9 years ago, I had the incredible opportunity of visiting Palestine. As a Muslim, I was incredibly blessed to pray at Al-Aqsa and the Dome of the Rock. And while I was there, I visited the East Jerusalem neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah. I met families who had been forced to flee from their land in 1948 during the Nakba, but once again were facing forced expulsion from their homes. The injustices and the inhumanity they faced was horrific. But what struck me more than anything was their sheer spirit, their generosity, their strength, and their resistance. In the face of more than a century of oppression, I saw the Palestinian people's unshakable courage and unbowed spirit. Today, we gather here in our hundreds, in our millions across the world, to show solidarity with the Palestinian people and to show the world that we stand with Palestine against this renewed assault. This week marks 73 years since the 1948 Nakba, the catastrophe of a people where hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were forced to flee their homes. It began in the UK with a man called Balfour, whose declaration in 1917, the Nakba was a devastating event in a process of dispossession, expulsion, expropriation and occupation. And that isn't something that is consigned to history or our history textbooks. It is a process that continues till this day. And we see it with the 28 families in Sheikh Jarrah being forcibly expelled from their homes. We see it in the attacks on the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and we see it with the dozens of Palestinians, including children, who were murdered in Gaza last night. In the face of these injustices, again, we see the courage and resolve of Palestinians. And in the past week, in spite of the violence, we have seen Palestinians defiant, singing in the streets, doing dubka outside to the entrances of the old city. And in spite of Israeli attempts to prevent them from praying at Al-Aqsa during the most holy night of Ramadan, Palestinians across Jerusalem have come to Al-Aqsa to say, whatever happens, we have the right to be here. Today, instead of silence, instead of turning away, we join Palestinians in exerting their rights. We say that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So, from Colombia to South Africa, from Yemen to Kashmir, from the streets of London to the streets of Al-Quds, we stand united in solidarity with the Palestinian people in their struggle for liberation, self-determination, and to return to their homes. Today we say to the Palestinian people, as long as your struggle continues, you will never struggle alone. Solidarity.
Please come and join us at the rally this side. Please make your way to this side. The street is open for us now. Please make your way here. We want you to join us this side. Everybody, please, if you can hear me, make your way this side, please. Pass the message backwards. If you have a friend next to you, tell them to make their way this side, please. Stewards, if you can urge everyone to make their way this way. Thank you so much, guys. I can see the movement happening. That's great. Thank you. Okay, guys. Our next speaker is here to deliver a message on behalf of Sinn Féin. His name is Joe Dwyer. Please welcome him to the stage.
Comrades, I'm no public speaker, so this will be short. Many thanks to the organisers for the invitation to speak here on behalf of my party, Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin has a proud record of standing alongside our Palestinian brothers and sisters. Ireland's history teaches us to know oppression when we see it, to know occupation when we see it, We know full well how repression breeds resistance and how struggle becomes generational. Today in Belfast, we've been handed down the Bali Massacre inquiry. This took 50 years. It is confirmed that in August 1971, the British Army shot 11 civilians on the streets of Ballymurphy. The people of Palestine should not have to wait 50 years like we did to get justice and to get truth. This is why we stand with the people of Palestine. Justice delayed is justice denied, and for the Palestinian people it has been too long delayed and too long denied. The whole world is watching, but watching is not enough. The whole world needs to be shouting. Silence at this point is acquiescence to Israeli state terror. I am proud that Sinn Féin is not silent. On behalf of my party, may I repeat our call for the immediate expulsion of the Israeli ambassador to Ireland. May I repeat our call for the immediate passage of the Occupied Territories Bill, which would ban the import of goods produced in occupied territories into Ireland. We also call for the swift recognition of the State of Palestine. The Dublin government should use its seat at the much vaunted UN Security Council to actually do something useful and stand up for the Palestinian people. Over the past few days, we have been in regular contact with our comrades in Palestine, and we will continue to do so over the following days. We stand with them now, and we've stood with them always. This year marks 40 years since the 1981 hunger strike in Ireland. Bobby Sands, who led that hunger strike and was elected a Member of Parliament during that hunger strike, before his death in May 1981, he said, "Let our revenge be the laughter of our children." That is our wish for the people of Palestine, solidarity with the people of Palestine. As we say in our struggle, our day will come, Chucky Allah.
Thank you, Joe. As I said earlier, we're here mobilising today, but we can't stop it now. We have to keep mobilising. So this Saturday, we will be taking to the streets again. In order to do that effectively, we need to make sure we've got funding behind us to pay for things like state. Occupation's got to go. I said hey. 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 Occupation's got to go. Free, free Palestine. 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 Free, free Palestine Palestine! Free! Free! 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 Palestine! Now, as I say, we'll see you again on the streets on Saturday, 12 Marble Arch. For now, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Kamal Hawash. He is the chair of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. He's come down from Birmingham today, but originally he is from Jerusalem. Let's hear it for him.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you all for coming out in Ramadan. I know that people are struggling here because it's coming up to the iftar, but we think about brothers and sisters in Jerusalem, my hometown, and Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine. Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine. Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine. I am angry that the 21st century's apartheid state Israel claims Jerusalem as the capital of an apartheid state. We say no, no, No! Palestine has a capital called Jerusalem. My relatives, my cousin is a family in Sheikh Jarrah. So they are one of the families facing eviction from there. And I phoned them to say, what would you like me to tell the British people here? And they said, first of all, Balfour. They said, Britain is complicit. Britain was complicit in the theft of Palestine by the Zionist movement. They also said, tell the Prime Minister, tell Boris that he can't say Britain supports the International Criminal Court, but then say, hold on a minute, except for Israel. The first country that should be brought in front of the criminal court is Israel. And the first person who should be standing in front of the International Criminal Court is Benjamin Netanyahu. He is the first one who should be standing in front of it. Followed by a man who proudly said, had a video in the last elections which said how hard he had hit Gaza. Our hearts go out to our brothers and sisters in Gaza who are facing an absolute onslaught. 9 children killed. 9 children. What did they do to deserve this? We need Zionism to end in Palestine so that everyone there can live in peace. And by that, I don't say that we should throw anyone out, but it is that ideology which is driving the conflict. Let me end with a really important message. We have seen people in Jerusalem demonstrating their resistance in Ramallah, in Gaza, but also in Haifa, in Yafa, in Ramla, in Al-Lud. One Palestinian people. Let's stand with them. Let us bombard our MPs, the people who supposedly make the decisions. Bombard them with calls to stand not with the apartheid, racist, settler colonialist state of Israel, but with the wonderful Palestinian people. You are carrying the flag of love and peace, and they are carrying the flag of hate. Thank you all for coming out. Let's show our solidarity to the Palestinians. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Thank you!
Okay, our next speaker is a student activist and member of the youth branch of PSC. Her name is Sacha Thompson. Please welcome her to the stage.
Thank you. We all know that the attacks that we have seen in the last week against Palestinians are nothing new. They are historic and they are ongoing. And these buildings, this parliament and this country has played a key role in the source and continuation of these atrocities. It was 100 years ago that the British Army occupied Jerusalem, and the then Prime Minister declared it as a Christmas present for the British people, in a clear expression of the racist, colonialist, entitled attitude of the British people to the Palestinian land. It is an attitude we see today reflected in the international alliances, arms dealings, border systems and surveillance programs of the British state, and embodied in the current Prime Minister. As long as this history of British complicity in the dispossession of the Palestinian people, there is a history of international solidarity. We know from this past that this international solidarity can and does change the tide on oppressive, racist, apartheid systems. Now is the time for a huge and sustained international solidarity effort. Solidarity with the families of Sheikh Jarrah facing Israeli ethnic cleansing. Solidarity with the people of Gaza facing renewed horror of bombardment under an unlivable siege. Solidarity with the protesters across historic Palestine, in Nablus, Haifa, Al-Nazifa. Solidarity with the millions of Palestinian refugees refugees forced to live in exile and denied their right of return. There are no clashes, there are no two sides. There is an apartheid system and a process of ethnic cleansing and settler colonialism against resistance and anti-colonial struggle. We can and must take our lead from the Palestinian people who for so long have defined their struggle as one for justice, teaching us all lessons in how to fight for humanity in the face of barbarity. As youth and students of the YSC, PSC, we play an important role. We demand that our classrooms, our campuses and our workplaces are places where we can learn, discuss and mobilise for Palestinian liberation, and where our friends, our Palestinian friends, colleagues and teachers can discuss and mobilise against the racist, settler colonial Israeli state. Join your local Palestine solidarity campaign. Support BDS and make sure you stand on the right side of history, a history that the British state was complicit in making, but that we will be the generation to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Sasha. Our next speaker is from the Palestinian Forum in Britain. It's Bushra Hamadan. Come on, Bushra. I thank you all for gathering here today in support of our Palestinian brothers and sisters in Jerusalem and the rest of Palestine. The repeated harassment of Palestinians by the Israeli occupation and its settlers is a part of a wider scheme to establish a new and even more oppressive status quo on the neighborhoods of the old city, enabling Zionist organizations to freely storm the holy site of Al-Aqsa Mosque and the neighborhoods and the homes of the neighborhoods of Sheikh Jarrah. The actions of the occupation are intolerable, and they have been since 1948. Israel has and is violating international law with absolutely no consequence. In the past couple of days, we have been witnessing a continuation of the Nakba. The people of Sheikh Jarrah have been fighting tooth and nail for their right, their basic human right, to keep their homes. Today, we protest the occupation. We protest its continuous attacks on the people of Jerusalem and the attacks on worshippers in this holy month of Ramadan. And so many people have been injured, many have even lost their eyesight. 28 civilians have been murdered in Gaza, 10 of which were children. A groom whose wedding was in a couple of days. A mother. This is unacceptable. This country holds accountability. Boris Johnson, we hold you accountable since the Balfour Declaration. They are complicit in the Israeli war crimes. And we are so proud of the resilient people who stand in Al-Aqsa Mosque, who are being bombarded, who are being attacked, who are losing their eyesight. We are with you. We are with you. The order to delay the evictions of the people of Sheikh Jarrah does not mean victory. We must not leave this energy. We must not lose this energy and this passion. We are all Sheikh Jarrah. We are all Jerusalem. We are all Gaza. Let your message be clear. I want to hear you scream and shout. We are with you, Palestine. We are with you, Palestine. And I want to tell you to remember that in unity there is strength. I repeat, in unity there is strength. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. One solution. One solution. Revolution. One solution. Revolution. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. Thank you.
Here this evening.
So we're here to say solidarity with the Palestinian people in their struggle for freedom and justice. This is a long struggle over many decades, but it will not end until Palestine is free. And we will stand with you and we will work with you until this victory is won. Today we stand with the people of Sheikh Jarrah, resisting ethnic cleansing, and with the powerful popular resistance which protests night after night to prevent those evictions. Our thoughts and prayers are with all those injured in the criminal attacks on Al-Aqsa Mosque. The scenes are deeply shocking and we will fight back. And our hearts go out tonight to those slaughtered in the Israeli air raids on Gaza, to those 24 civilians, including 9 children, killed in those barbaric and criminal attacks. May they rest in peace. These are war crimes, and they are added to the list of war crimes, of crimes against humanity perpetrated by the Israeli state. That list is long. We well remember the use of chemical weapons, of white phosphorus, against the civilians of Gaza in Operation Cast Lead. But where is the international community when people are dying in Gaza? When it should be bringing Israel to trial for its crimes, to restore hope and justice to the people of Gaza. When it should be ending the ethnic cleansing of East Jerusalem. And where is the condemnation by the British government of these crimes? Why are they silent while the Israeli state acts with impunity against the rights and the lives of innocent civilians? As the struggles intensify in Palestine, so must our solidarity intensify here and internationally to build that international movement to win that victory.
He's 11 years old, he's Palestinian, and he wants to help with the chanting. Over to you. Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Let's hear from Director! Okay. Our next speaker is from Britain and Ireland's largest trade union. They're here to offer Solidarity Unite. He's the Assistant Chief of Staff, Adrian Ware.
Well, hi everybody, and this is a really tremendous demonstration, and thank you so much for coming down here today. Absolutely brilliant. Friends, I bring the greetings of General Secretary Len McCluskey and the Executive Council of Unite. And not for the first time we find ourselves here or over in Kensington often protesting this latest Israeli outrage. But the question is, why are we always locked in this never-ending protest? Well, the answer has been given this week or last week by Human Rights Watch, which has branded the Israeli government an apartheid government. Human Rights Watch sets out the actions that are part of this criminal endeavour. Movement restrictions. Well, certainly the wall and the network of checkpoints in the West Bank proves that. Land confiscation. Well, this happens across the West Bank. Impunity. Crimes against Palestinians will not be pursued by the forces of law and order. Often, of course, it is these forces that are the perpetrators of the crimes. And what of Sheikh Jarrah? The statement issued by Unite and others said this is a clear example of demographic manipulation and ethnic cleansing. Demographic manipulation and ethnic cleansing reads so much like the Human Rights Watch apartheid charge sheet, which of course is why we are here today. We will not stand by and give the forces of reaction a free pass on apartheid. Not today, not ever. Thanks for listening.
Palestine! Palestine! From the land to the sea!
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Our next speaker is President of the Muslim Association of Britain. They are one of the co-organizers of today's protest. Please welcome her to the stage. It's Raged Al-Tikiti.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. Dear brothers and sisters, dear friends, today I'm sending a message to the people of Al-Aqsa, of Jerusalem, of the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, of Gaza, who were attacked last night. To them we send the message of solidarity and support, as well as admiration for their courage, fortitude and resolve. The scenes that we saw of young men and women standing up to the brutality of heavily armed Israeli forces, as well as settlers being protected by Israeli police and soldiers. That is something incredibly uplifting because it shows the people of Jerusalem are telling the world that it doesn't matter how heavily armed you are, as long as you have the truth on your side. You mustn't fear anything. You mustn't fear anyone. And that is something that we need to learn. That is something we could take away from the people of Jerusalem and we need to adhere to. It doesn't matter that the Israelis are the most powerful or sophisticated armies in the world. They were defeated by mere worshippers refusing to leave their places. And they remain strong. My next message is to the government, Boris Johnson and Dominic Raab, the Foreign Secretary. Your silence is tacit approval of the Israeli crimes against the Palestinians. The Israeli crimes did not happen last night. The Israeli crimes did not happen 2 weeks ago. The Israeli crimes did not happen last month. The Israeli crimes have been going on for 73 years. And now it is time we must disavow any complicity in the crime of occupation. Occupation is a crime. Occupation is a crime. It is a crime against humanity. And there is absolutely no justification to be silent when that crime is being perpetuated every single day. My final message is to you. It's to the heroes. It's to the freedom lovers, justice lovers, the people who are attending today's protest and who will remain attending all the protests. Without your positions, without your presence, without your voices, without you sharing the images on social media, without you, Israel would have committed massacres upon massacres. But the only thing that they're afraid of, besides the Palestinians, is the world seeing the crimes they commit. And that is something they are worried about. So keep going, keep
sisters, brothers, friends, comrades, I bring you solidarity greetings from War on One. We all know this isn't new. I remember standing in Al-Aqsa Masjid in October 1990 as Israeli troops and settlers massacred men, women and children, hundreds injured as they stormed the mosque, and the same scenes of cheering Israeli crowds chanting death to the Arabs. And many of us have stood year on year as Israel commits war crime after war crime. But you know what? Throughout all those years, I want to pay tribute, and it's important for all of us to pay tribute to the courage, the determination and the steadfastness of the Palestinian people. Today, friends, there are some politicians who only oppose colonialism when it's written in the history books, not when it's occurring in front of them. There are some politicians who take like the knee against racism, but then engage in the ugliest kind of racism by trying to excuse what's happening as clashes. There is our government who claims it makes empty calls for de-escalation, whilst his hands are covered in the blood of Palestinians. Blood from approving arms sales, £400 million since 2015. They make empty calls for human rights, whilst guaranteeing Israel impunity for its war crimes from the International Criminal Court. But we have a message to the politicians, to the media and to the apologists for Israel's war crimes. We know what solidarity looks like. It looks like all of us. And we will not rest until Israeli apartheid is ended. Freedom for Palestine, justice for Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you, Assad. There are tens of thousands of us here on the streets today, but we need more on Saturday. So I want all of you to send your WhatsApps, your texts, your Facebook messages to all your friends and family. Tell them to come out on the streets on Saturday, and we will march together. Our final speaker, comrades, it is a pleasure to introduce a man who has fought his entire life, stood with the Palestinians and against war and occupation. It is Jeremy Courtney.
Showing solidarity with the people of Al-Aqsa, with the people of Jerusalem, with the people of Gaza. Thank you for showing that solidarity. The scenes on our televisions of IDF forces attacking worshippers outside Al-Aqsa Mosque and planes bombing people in Gaza are truly shocking. Innocent lives are being lost, all because of the occupation of Palestine. And surely the way forward is quite simply this: the occupation of Palestine must end. The settlement policy must end. There must be, as we promised in our manifesto, recognition, unconditional recognition of the state of Palestine. And the right of people to remain in their own homes, not to have their land taken, their farms divided, or roads built across their land, which prevents them from carrying out normal life. And for the people of Gaza, who for all these years have been living under siege, insufficiency of supplies of food, insufficiency of fuel, and insufficiency of work, despite being the best educated population in the world, the highest number of degrees of any population. And so what I'm saying is actually completely in line with international law. It is in line with the Geneva Accords. It is in line with what the United Nations General Assembly has voted. And so there are people, and I've done many conferences with them, from Palestine, from Israel, from all across the world, who recognize the only way to peace is by ending the occupation, ending the settlement policy, and abiding by international human rights support. But in the midst of this crisis at the present time, and it is a crisis at the present time, and I speak as one who has met residents in Sheikh Jarrah some years ago and seen what they were going through as settlers tried to force them out of their homes. But in the midst of this crisis, I say this, there is a point of hope. The whole world is seeing in real time what is actually happening. Our solidarity here in London is to bring about the permanent peace in which the Palestinian people will no longer ever be under occupation again. It's our solidarity, it's our human rights, it's our actions all around the world that wants to bring peace for all peoples to be able to live their lives as they would wish. And I finally say this, for those Palestinians who are refugees in Lebanon, in Jordan, in many other countries, we also remember you. We are not going to forget you either. You are part of the many refugees around the world. And so, my friends, thank you for your attendance today. Thank you for your solidarity. And thank you for caring for the Palestinian people.
Is from the Federation of Student Islamic Societies. It's Miss Shayma Dalali. Please welcome her to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon you all. Once more, in these blessed days of Ramadan, we gather in protest, and we gather to condemn the continual oppression of Palestinian people by Israeli colonial forces. We gather in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Palestine who are attacked whilst praying in Masjid al-Aqsa, the third holiest site in Islam. Praying in peace and in devotion to the Almighty, only to have Israeli occupation forces to storm in, destroy and assault worshippers. Every Ramadan, we see an escalation in human rights violations against Palestinians. We see the use of stun grenades and gas tears and rubber-coated steel bullets as a means of violating the sanctity of Masjid al-Aqsa. Time and time again, we see the theft of Palestinian homes, and today we see a continuation of the forced displacements and Zionist colonial project in Sheikh Jarrah that seeks to remove Palestinians from their homes and replace them with illegal settlements for Jewish Zionists. We must not be afraid to condemn the injustice of the Israeli state. We must not fall prey to intimidation and fear. And we must not be afraid to call it what it is. It is racist, it is an apartheid state, and it is settler colonialism. Israel has zero regard for international law, zero regard for the sanctity of our holy sites, and zero regard for the humanity of the indigenous population. We will continue to protest, and we will continue to educate, and we will continue to speak truth to power. So see you again next Saturday. Thank you, my faces. Thank you. Guys, we want to thank you for coming out today, to thank you himself, and to tell you about next week is the director of PSC. It's Mr. Ben Jamal.
Thank you. Okay, friends, this is the last speech, and then we're going to ask you to peacefully disperse. But we need you back. We need you back on Saturday, mobilising, turning up 12 o'clock on Saturday at Marble Arch when we march to the Israeli embassy. You come tonight. You have come in your thousands. And let us remember why we are here. You are here. You are here because you know, we know, that over the past few weeks, what we have witnessed is the raw, unvarnished, ugly face of Israeli apartheid. We know you cannot sustain a system of apartheid unless you cease to regard those upon whom you impose that system as less than human. We know that when you bomb children because they are Palestinians for no other reason, we know that when you throw stun grenades into the faces of people worshipping and blind them permanently because they are Palestinians, we know that when you forcibly evict whole families from homes they have occupied for decades onto the streets for no other reason because they are Palestinians, we know that that is not just a crime against Palestinians, that is a crime against humanity. That is why we say in our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. We are here giving a message to the Palestinian people that we stand shoulder to shoulder in solidarity with you. But we are here also to deliver a message to the UK. We are here because we know our task is not just to stand in solidarity, but to end our complicity. To end the complicity with apartheid of our government that continues to trade with Israel, including the two-way arms trade. That needs to end. To end the complicity of our public bodies, our universities, our pension schemes that invest in companies that support apartheid. That needs to stop. And we need to target those companies themselves, like JCB, like Puma, like HP, that provide the services that keep apartheid functioning. So I say this, you are here tonight because of your justified rage and anger at what you have seen, but now we need you to channel that rage. We need you back here on Saturday. We need to be marching not in our hundreds, not in our thousands, but in our tens of thousands. And we need you today, as you go back to your homes and regather your energy, to renew your commitment, to continue to lobby, to protest, to rally, to boycott, never to stop, never to stop, never to stop, until the Palestinian people enjoy what is their birthright, freedom, justice and equality in their historic homeland. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Safe journey home. See you Saturday. 3,000.